Old-fashioned, funny, family man, friend, honest, and simple. These words describe a man that I have never met before, but a man that has inspired me since I was a child. He's a rather famous actor, and I'm pretty sure you all know his name. Andy Griffith, most commonly known as Sheriff Taylor on the Andy Griffith Show. He's a person that I have admired since I was a child, both on screen and off the screen. My name is Tyler Hart, and I want to tell you a little more about Andy Griffith and why he has inspired me so much. To give a little background into Andy's life, he was born on June 1st, 1926 in Mount Airy, North Carolina. Andy Griffith was what would be described as coming from the wrong side of the tracks. His family was very poor. When Andy was born, they lived with relatives for several years until they were able to get on their feet. Growing up, Andy was very shy but was able to come out of his shell with his sense of humor. He grew up with a desire to be an opera singer, but later changed his profession and decided to go into ministry. While in school at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, he became involved in musical theater and drama and ended up earning a degree in music. After teaching high school for several years, Andy Griffith and his wife Barbara decided to try their hand in the entertainment industry. They created a routine of singing and dancing that gained them recognition with Andy's monologue titled "What It Was Football." The monologue was produced commercially and opened many doors for him in his career. After 2 Tony nominations, CBS Television gave Andy his own sitcom, The Andy Griffith Show. The Andy Griffith Show debuted in 1960 and ran for 8 years. On the show, Andy was a widowed sheriff raising his young son Opie in the fictional town of Mayberry, North Carolina. Longtime friend and fellow actor Don Knotts starred as Barney Fife, his clumsy and awkward deputy. The show was an immediate hit and many people were upset at its ending in 1968. However, reruns are still playing with large ratings today. Andy Taylor told heartwarming stories throughout the years, and I admire him because he was very fair and honest to his son. He gave Opie the benefit of the doubt because he knew the morals and values that were instilled in Opie. When Opie did wrong, Andy made sure he learned from his mistakes and corrected them. However, making him an even bigger man in my eyes, Andy was a big enough man to admit when he was wrong. As sheriff, Andy did not wear a gun and was known to show up at a gunfight without a weapon. He used his words and wisdom when dealing with people regardless of which side of the law they were on. Many of the individuals that were an inmate at Andy's held high respect for the sheriff and learned from their time with Andy. He was honest and treated each of them with respect regardless of whether they deserved it or not. Andy was a problem solver. Many problems arose throughout the years of the show, but there was never one that Andy did not come up with a solution, however funny it may have been. From setting up his friend Gomer, a not-so-bright gas station attendant, on a date so he would no longer be the fifth wheel on Andy's and Barney's double dates, to teaching his son Opie the importance and fun fact of history class can be when Opie refused to do a homework assignment and he was punished for it. One of the first shows that I vividly remember watching as a child was the first episode of the Andy Griffith Show. Sheriff Taylor is telling his son the story of Romeo and Juliet. After Opie questions his father's decision on not marrying a young couple that has come to the house one morning, that families were feuding, he said. A quote from his version of the stories has stayed with me since I was a child and has made sense of growing up. You can change the smell of you can change the name of a rose, but you cannot change the smell. Of the many lessons I have learned from the Andy Griffith Show, this quote has reminded me one of the biggest lessons I have learned in life. No matter how you look at it, it is what it is. So best to find a solution whether your problem may be and deal with it. The Andy Griffith Show aired at a time when life was simple. There were no distractions of computers, cell phones, and video games. Family time was cherished, and neighbors were, for the most part, trustworthy. Children were safe to play in the neighborhood and were able to walk to school. Life has changed in so many years. Today, most families rarely sit down for a meal. Law enforcement officers are forced not only to wear a gun, but frequently use it. Many parents do instill the morals and values in their children that were seen back then. As someone I greatly respect and admire, I encourage each of you to find a rerun of the show and take 30 minutes out of your day to watch it. See if there is something you can take away from it, or even better, sit down with an old relative that lived during these times and listen to the stories they have. I'm sure they have many that are just as humorous and heartwarming as those Andy has shared. To conclude, when life gets too busy, think of the beginning of the Andy Griffith Show when Andy is walking with his son Opie with their fishing poles down the dirt road and whistling the well-known tune to the Andy Griffith Show.